Does your cat ignore you, hide away, or act distant? You're not alone. Many cat owners are left wondering why their furry friend doesn't seem to care. If you've ever questioned whether your cat truly loves you, stay tuned. Because in this video, we're going to uncover the surprising signs that they might not. The goal of today's video is to help you spot these signs and realize when it's time to take action, as it's never too late to change their mind about you. 1. The cold shoulder specialist. First up on our parade of feline indifference, the cat that treats you like you're invisible. If your furry roommate consistently ignores your presence, walking past you without so much as a whisker twitch, it might be time to face the music. You're about as interesting to them as last week's newspaper. A cat that's genuinely fond of you will usually acknowledge your presence, even if it's just a quick glance or an ear flick. But if your cat acts like you're part of the furniture, and not even the comfy kind they like to nap on, that's a pretty clear signal that you're not on their VIP list. This doesn't mean they're plotting your demise or anything dramatic like that. It's more like you've been relegated to the role of that bipedal creature who operates the can opener. Useful, sure, but not exactly bestie material. So if your cat consistently chooses to sit with their back to you or leaves the room every time you enter, it might be time to accept that in the grand drama of their life, you're more of a background extra than the star you thought you were. 2. The don't touch me dance. Next up, we have the cat that treats physical contact with you like it's a game of hot lava. If your attempts at petting are met with more dodges and weaves than a professional boxer, your cat might be trying to tell you something. And it's not pet me more. A cat that genuinely enjoys your company will usually welcome your touch, at least some of the time. They might lean into your hand, purr, or at least tolerate a few strokes before sauntering off. But if your cat consistently moves away when you reach for them, or worse, swats at your hand, that's a pretty clear hands-off message. This doesn't necessarily mean your cat hates you. They might just have a different concept of personal space than you do. Think of it like that colleague who always stands a bit too close at the water cooler. Your cat finds your attempts at physical affection equally uncomfortable. Of course, some cats are just not big on physical contact in general. But if your cat snuggles up to everyone else in the household while treating you like you're coated in sandpaper, it might be time to face the fact that you're not their favorite cuddle buddy. 3. The unimpressed food critic. We all know the saying, the way to a cat's heart is through their stomach. But what if your culinary offerings are met with less enthusiasm than a vegetarian at a BBQ joint? If your cat consistently turns their nose up at the food you provide, picking at it reluctantly or flat out ignoring it until they're desperate, that's not a great sign. A cat that's truly bonded with you will generally show some excitement at mealtime, even if it's just a quick tail-up trot to their bowl. But if your cat treats mealtime like a chore, barely acknowledging your presence as you fill their dish, that's the feline equivalent of a restaurant patron sending back their meal. Your cat is essentially saying, "Thanks for the effort, I guess, but I'm not impressed." This doesn't mean you're a terrible cat parent. Maybe your cat is just a picky eater. But if they eagerly gobble up food when someone else feeds them, while treating your offerings like they're made of cardboard, it might be time to admit that you're not exactly their favorite chef. 4. The indifferent greeter. Picture this. You've been away all day, maybe even for a few days. You open the door excited to see your feline friend, and nothing. No meows of greeting, no trotting to the door, not even a glance in your direction. If this scenario sounds familiar, I hate to break it to you, but your cat might be voting you off the island. Cats that are genuinely attached to their humans usually show some form of acknowledgement when they return home. It might not be the exuberant greeting you get from a dog, but there's usually something. A meow, a raised tail, or at least a sleepy blink from their favorite napping spot. But if your cat's reaction to your return is about as exciting as watching paint dry, that's a pretty clear signal that they didn't exactly miss you. In their mind, you're less beloved returning hero, and more, that tall thing that sometimes blocks the sunbeam. This doesn't mean your cat wants you to move out or anything. They might just be very independent. But if they perk up and trot over when your roommate or partner comes home, while treating your arrival like a non-event, it might be time to admit that you're not exactly at the top of their favorite person list. If you're enjoying today's video and would love to see more like it, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell so you never miss an upload. And if there's any other subjects you'd like to see covered, comment them below. 5. The territorial tyrant. Now, you might think that a cat who's always in your space must love you, right? Well, not so fast. If your cat seems to be constantly underfoot, but not in a friendly way, you might be dealing with a territorial tyrant rather than an affectionate companion. Does your cat follow you around, but always with a slightly irritated look, as if they're monitoring your movements? Do they insert themselves into whatever you're doing, not to participate, but to disrupt? This isn't your cat trying to be close to you. It's them trying to control you. A cat that genuinely enjoys your company will want to be near you, sure, but they'll also respect your activities. They might curl up next to you while you work or watch TV. But if your cat is constantly walking across your keyboard, knocking things off shelves, or otherwise sabotaging your efforts, that's less about affection and more about asserting dominance. This behavior is your cat's way of saying, "This is my territory, and you're here on my terms." It's less "I love you" and more, "I tolerate your presence as long as you follow my rules." Not exactly the warm, fuzzy feeling you were hoping for, is it? 6. The silent treatment specialist. You might think a quiet cat is a content cat, but if your feline friend never vocalizes around you, it could be a sign that they're not particularly fond of your company. Cats that are bonded with their humans often develop a vocabulary of meows, chirps, and trills specifically for communication with their favorite person. These vocalizations are a cat's way of initiating interaction, expressing needs, or just saying hello. But if your cat is as silent as a mime whenever you're around, while being chatty with others in the household, that's the feline equivalent of giving you the cold shoulder. It's like they're saying, "You're not worth the effort of meowing at." This doesn't mean your cat should be constantly yowling at you. That could indicate other issues. But a complete lack of vocal interaction, especially if they're talkative with others, might be a sign that your cat sees you more as furniture than friend. Remember, in the cat world, silence isn't always golden. Sometimes it's just cold. 7. The litter box rebel. Here's a stinky truth. If your cat is consistently using your personal items or spaces as an alternative litter box, it might not be just a behavioral issue. It could be a sign of feline resentment. While there can be medical reasons for inappropriate elimination, if your cat has a clean bill of health and is only targeting your stuff, it might be time to consider that they're sending you a smelly message. This behavior is often a cat's way of expressing extreme displeasure or stress. By marking your belongings with their scent, in the most unpleasant way possible, they're essentially saying, "I'm not happy with you, and here's what I think about it." It's like they're leaving you a 1-star review, but instead of posting it online, they're posting it, well, on your favorite shoes or that pile of laundry you left on the floor. Of course, this doesn't mean your cat is plotting revenge. They might just be stressed or unhappy with some aspect of their environment. But if they're only doing this to your things, while respecting everyone else's belongings, it might be time to admit that you're not exactly their favorite person in the household. Before we move on to the next one, if you've got a kitty, I'd love to hear about them. Comment below with their name and a fun fact about them. I'm looking forward to reading about them. 8. The tail of disinterest. Let's talk about the most expressive part of a cat's body, their tail. If your cat's tail language around you is consistently sending "do not disturb" signals, it might be time to reassess your feline friendship status. A happy, affectionate cat will often approach their favorite human with their tail held high, sometimes with a little hook or question mark shape at the end. It's like a furry exclamation point of feline joy. But if your cat's tail is always low or puffed up when you're around, that's the kitty equivalent of a keep away sign. A low, swishing tail often indicates annoyance or agitation, while a puffed up tail is a clear sign that your cat is feeling threatened or upset. If your cat consistently greets others in the household with a happy tail, but switches to defensive tail language when you approach, that's a pretty clear signal that they're not thrilled with your presence. This doesn't mean your cat is living in constant fear of you. They might just not be particularly fond of your company. It's like they're saying, "Oh, it's you again. Great," with every swish of their tail. Well, there you have it, cat enthusiasts. 8 signs that your feline friend might not be as fond of you as you'd hoped. So what's next for you? Discover the behaviors your cat wishes you would stop, or learn how to get your cat to like you. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more.